Welcome and thank you for clicking on my video. I really think tomorrow will make everything more clear, and there is a lot riding on tomorrow, and that's because of volatility. Volatility is here on my chart. We have gotten rid of some of the reversal signals here, but one key thing that we need to happen in order to see this fully get rid of volatility as it is still holding that crash signal, we need this to break down and cross over on this MACD. Now, what that is going to do is if we can do this tomorrow, I think that will mean we will be closing below that 50. And you'll notice as we close below that 50, what does the 50 start to do? It starts to turn back down. So if we are going to get rid of this crash signal, we have to turn down that 50. Now, I'm thinking we need to pay attention to when we just test that 50. Now, that's just something I want to pay attention to, but I think that's going to be a big thing to pay attention to going forward, okay? Now, this is going to be a little bit shorter video just because we're going to just hop right into it. My baby girl's teeth are coming in, and she has been screaming all night and screaming all day, so I got to make this a little bit quick so mom doesn't lose her mind. What we're noticing here for the SPY is we're going to talk about two charts that I think you need to be paying attention to for tomorrow as far as an individual stock that can give us a hint. Right now, we're seeing this upward pressure. Right, we're seeing this upward pressure, and it looks like our daily expected move is sitting at 587.33, right next to a weekly expected move. And we were talking about how it is very weird that we have not tagged these weekly expected moves. And I think it's 3, maybe even 4 weeks now. So that is very unusual. You gravitate to them a lot of the time. And since we're so close to the upper one, you would say a little bit move higher would be interesting here, but there are some signals we need to pay attention to. Volatility is higher, right? It's still around that 20 level, right? 1969. But for the downside, 581.31, we have to watch if that thing gets broken. Okay, we have to watch if that gets broken. We are still relatively positive, so look if that is going to curl back up around that area to then go touch that weekly expected move, and then we actually create the reversal signal we are looking for again. But just be aware that things can shape up a little bit differently tomorrow, and I think a lot is riding on tomorrow because of what I'm about to show you in a minute. But first, we have to get through the Qs, and you're noticing that the Qs, we're actually able to hold these divergence points relatively well, slightly coming above it for the RSI, but down for the MACD there. So that's what we're paying attention to. If that curls down, we can curl down 2 hours and we might see a move that people don't really expect right now. I think a lot of people are expecting bullishness, and that is being proven with that PCC remaining relatively low throughout the entire day and mostly throughout the morning during retail hour. That thing was down towards 0.76, saying people are expecting this to go higher even from this level right now. So we have to pay attention if that crosses over. If that crosses over, you're going to want to look for 494.16 to the downside and 500 flat to 584 to the upside, sorry, 584 to the upside by our weekly expected move. And notice that is that 500 number. We do gravitate towards those whole numbers. We can still head up from here. This has not crossed down just yet, but you want to be ready to react if it does. And then if it curls back up, right, if we're going to go make a triple divergence or something like that, we're going to see this get down, get close to that center line, turn back up, and maybe we're able to see some kind of triple divergence here on the 30-minute before it falls down. And you kind of want that because that is a very easy trade setup to take something with the Qs. But we're going to be paying attention to a lot come tomorrow. Make sure to come to the live stream tomorrow morning for us so we can talk about some stocks. And the reason I want to talk about tech is because the only way I think that we continue heading higher and higher into 2025 is going to be if we are able to take out this high. I still think we see a corrective move if we're able to take out this high, but it's going to be better than if we turn down right now. If we turn down right now, I think it could get a little bit ugly, a little bit fast. And some of the things I'm looking at to give me a little hint there is actually Apple. Apple is showing that it is holding those divergences. It is holding those divergences. This is a massive stock. And if this starts to confirm, we start to curl down on some 2-hour charts. Well, look at that. We're kind of coming up in this area where we see resistance a bunch. And we said, you know, this is down here in negative territory pretty well. So it's going to be very hard to really continue to just burst through. We're trying to. We're doing a very good attempt. We just are aware that there is a reversal signal there. You are not at a weekly expected move yet. I highly encourage you, especially if we start to see things downturn, make sure to join the Patreon. It will very much so. It will help you a lot. Everything that you see in Patreon are things that I blatantly use. I use the weeklies, I use those monthlies, and I use the Friday daily expected moves for if I have expiration. So those are going to be very, very helpful going forward, and I can't encourage it enough. If you want to learn how to make it for any stock that you are looking at, right? If you're not paying attention to a stock that I'm paying attention to, you can take that course down in the description. It's 90% off, and I'm going to tell you that sale will go away eventually, so I'd get it while it lasts. But Apple, you have to pay attention if that 2 hours rotating down, because if we break this, that is a big measured move to head a lot lower for Apple. You're looking at almost a 10 to 15% move down, maybe pretty quick, right? So we have to pay attention to it. The reason we're saying that it can head down quick is because look at these daily divergences across. Yeah, we're seeing if we can see something crazy to the upside right now. That is the more likely thing to happen. But if this would rotate down and break these levels, then you might see something crazy to the downside. You want to pay attention to that. Watch out for earnings. Another one that is telling me to be a little bit weary is NVIDIA. NVIDIA is going up and testing the all-time highs, right? We're going and testing the all-time highs, so we have to pay attention to it. And we just want to pay attention, can that daily rotate down for NVIDIA? Can the 2 hour rotate down for NVIDIA? Are we just going to experience a pullback? Those are all good questions to have as we're approaching weekly expected moves and things like that. But I just wanted to show you how NVIDIA was able to hold these divergence points pretty well, rather flat on the RSI, but downward on the MACD. So we're actually even seeing a red blip towards the end of the day saying there is weakness here. This has just projected higher. I think this is FOMO. I think this is a trap. Okay, I think we are going to experience, at least for NVIDIA, a 2 hour pullback. Okay, a 2 hour pullback maybe down to test that 125 level I like, or somewhere in this little box, right? Somewhere in this little box would make sense. But if we cut below that, we start to turn down on dailies, and that actually makes the SPY and the Q suffer. They are showing weakness in momentum. So we have to be aware that if NVIDIA does pull the market down too much, we actually can go into some kind of negative gamma, and that's not going to be a good thing for stocks. The 30-minute signal here is still something I am watching, but I'm aware that that could just be a pullback at this point. Now, why do I think that this is a trap? Well, if we go over and we look at the dollar, it is scaling up and up and up, but this can start to fade. Now, we will pay attention if the market is dropping and the dollar is dropping at the same time. But right now we have the dollar just screaming higher still, and we are getting a very, very big trap. And if you want to see what level this is on, right, we say there's traps on a 30-minute, there's traps on 2 hours, there's traps on daily. Well, as of right now, this is a trap on the weekly scale. Your weekly has turned up for the dollar, and the last time that we were really able to turn up was August of 2023 with some great reversal signals. This is a point to pay attention, because August of 2023, some interesting things happened in the market. And if I pull this back, you're just going to notice that August of 2023, we actually had I think it was this area, we actually had a decent amount of selling. July into August, we sold down. How much percent was that? Well, we sold down about 10%. So you're looking at, hey, this could be a corrective move like this one here, but it also could be worse because even the SPY has those reversal signals on the weekly. So just be very, very cautious with these things going forward. And then lastly, we can just notice that if I pull this up on like a little 30-minute here, this is what I'm talking about. The PCC was around or below that 0.8 level for most of the day. You know, we're starting to climb back up, but it's when that crosses through and then crosses back up that you really want to pay attention, because that means people might fly to the put side for some reason, and that usually means that the market is going to have some kind of downturn. We'll pay attention to it and we'll look for that rig behavior tomorrow. Something else that I saw as interesting for tomorrow is TLT. TLT giving a great signal here, not really by a weekly expected move. We could see a reaction up to like 95.50 or something like that, somewhere to fill this gap a little bit higher. But this is a big signal to watch, because we could see a good move from the 2 hour. Now, the 2 hour is not in an area where I would say, oh yeah, a reversal here is very, very likely, completely going positive. But we do have that opportunity with this kind of look. So pay attention to this, because why would people be flying into TLT all of a sudden? Might mean that those yields need to drop pretty quickly. That's just something we're going to pay attention to live tomorrow. So I think the main thing we need to be paying attention to, Apple, NVIDIA, and volatility. I think volatility is something that's going to be very important on the daily scale, seeing if we can keep this 50-day moving average above the 200, which means if we're going to keep it above the 200, we could see a reaction off of that 50. There is always the opportunity to short squeeze or something for a little bit of time, but we need to see if that's going to rotate up. If we're going to get some kind of short squeeze, watch out for the 200. Right now, I think tomorrow is going to be very important. You need to watch if this is able to break down below the 50 and cross over on this MACD, get that RSI below the center line. So that's overall my main takeaway. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I'm sorry that this video was a little bit short, but I do appreciate you watching, you liking, you subscribing. Hopefully you appreciate the info that we're giving out here, and I will see you live tomorrow morning. All right, peace.